So I'll turn it off.
All right. Take the top one out.
Yep.
And then we're going to wait and see what we're going to do on that one, whether
Yeah.
we're going to remove it or whether we're going to keep it.
Probably got to bring the machine up for us
Okay,
now.
all right. Well, first of all, we bought the original property, which was 1.5 acres. It was ideal, but needed a huge amount of work. And of course, when places haven't been kept up and they've become overgrown and a bit sort of neglected, it adds to the romance, really. So we had to build a house and clean up everything. And then, unfortunately, I was left on my own because Brian died. And then the paddock below came up on the market. But it was so steep that we had to terrace it. It wasn't very long before I thought that I'd made a major mistake, because the scale was enormous. The thought of how you manage these vast open spaces, it was just really a question of going off to nurseries and buying 50 of this or 100 of that and just flooding it with things, hopefully, that would cover it as quickly as possible. But there was no sitting down and planning anything, it just happened. If we didn't have the woodland, then we would have a garden which was all really new and emerging. But this is a wonderful old established part of the garden. Oh, well, that's what I was going to ask you. So these are going to be as good as the white ones, which would be spectacular. Do they come in other colours, or is that the only two colours they come in?
Lots of sort of pinky mauve shades through to white.
Keith had sort of a vague idea of some sort of colour schemes that he wanted. And then over the years, the plantings have become far more sophisticated, and it's not just about sort of covering ground now. We can be much more select with what sort of picture we want to kind of paint in this sort of area of the garden.
When I very first started it off, I did have in mind that one terrace would be this sort of shades of colour. You know, they would be different terraces, different colours, but putting colours together is extremely difficult.
James, the front of your wall have huge branches on it.
When you look at a lot of the walls I do outside this garden, they're only entrance walls or pillars. Here, you get to do walls at 1.8 metres high. Put another wall on top of another wall. Do a pond. Put steps in. It's just the angles, and it's different. It makes you think about, you know, how you're going to run things or set things out, and that's a good challenge in itself. I get to come here and work, and it's not only the look of the garden, it's the smell of the garden. Like you'll be walking along, you just go, oh, awesome. Tell me where you can get a working environment like that. This whole garden here was just a paddock. It had horses in it. It was just a steep paddock running down. And Keith thought, well, let's put a garden in there. And he has put a garden in here.
It's a new garden, but every garden on the Mount originally was a new garden. If you see the early pictures, they've built a lovely, lovely summer house, and all the trees are just that high. So the Victorians looked at things differently to us. They did things for future generations. They were quite happy to put in trees that they knew would be wonderful in 100 years' time. We're not like that. We want it to look fabulous today. It's a very, very different way of looking at things.
Everyone says lightning never strikes twice in the same spot, but for the second time in the sequoia's life, it got hit by lightning. But yeah, after climbing, inspecting it and see how much of the trunk was actually fractured by the lightning, we made the decision that the only safe thing for the tree was to take it down. So here we are.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 120.
It's pretty sad. I said to Keith this morning, you know, I've put a massive amount of time and effort in pruning it and maintaining it so that it didn't lose any branches or fall apart. And I honestly thought I'd be able to hand it down to the next generation of my sons for them to continue to do the same thing. So it's pretty sad to have to spend the last 10, 15 years looking after a tree like this and then have to be the person that actually cuts it down. One thing that's really good in this garden is the next generation of these giant sequoias and Doug firs is already planted down in the lower area of the garden, so that's great to see.
So what I'm planting, I'm never going to see in their full maturity. It's wonderful watching them develop, but in another 30 years, somebody will sit back and look at it and think, what lovely tree is here, isn't this gorgeous? I won't see it.
You know, it's extraordinary the growth that we've had on these trees in sort of under a decade, and eventually it will be another one of those lovely big shady Mount Macedon gardens. My sort of perennial contribution will slowly sort of fade out as the sun disappears, and the whole nature of the garden will change again.
I mean, they're spectacular trees, look at them.
They're so beautiful.
But, and that one there as well, you see that one will be great. In the time I've been here, these trees have grown a lot. You don't notice it, but when we cut the sequoia down and you looked at the rings, right?
Yeah.
And you thought, my goodness, you know, I've been here 16 years, and you look at 16 years, it's like that.